Hi, I'm Sandi Melody, and today's video I am going to teach you how to play Over the Rainbow, the arrangement by Isreal Kamakawiwo'ole. And we're just going to play Over the Rainbow. We're not going to do the What a Wonderful World in this video. And I am also not going to include the intro in this video. It's just the basic bare bones of what is involved in playing and memorizing Over the Rainbow on the ukulele. So a few little details you need to know that are going to make it easier to learn and easier to memorize is that the form that this song is in is called AABA, and it's a very common form in jazz music. It's as common as verse, chorus in popular music and rock and pop. So typically in an AABA form, you will have each A section is made up of 8 bars, and the B section is also made up of 8 bars. So you end up with a 32 bar song. When you learn an AABA song, the chord structure of the A sections are the same. So the melody may vary through the A sections, but the chord structure is the same. So as soon as you've learned the A section, you actually have learned 3/4 of the whole song. Typically, the B sections, not always, but often, the B sections can be divided into 2. So the first 4 bars of the chords are just repeated the second time. So that really means you're only learning 12 bars of song, but just learning through the form, it ends up becoming 32 bars. So this is a really standard form and starts to become predictable if you learn enough jazz standards. So this is a jazz standard. And what is unique about this arrangement is that the last chord of the A section is not the chord we're expecting to hear. Instead of playing the 1 chord, he is playing the 6th chord, which makes the song sound like it needs to continue. It's not a landing place. And that supports the melody that he created. And I think that's what really takes us out of our normal appreciation for that song, is like it really stops us and goes, oh, what's that? And then we hear his beautiful voice singing the lines that he created there. So what is unusual is that it's 9 bars instead of 8. And the extra bar is on the end of the second phrase. So your first phrase is a standard 4-bar phrase, and then the next phrase is a 5-bar phrase. So you end up with the whole entire A section being 9 bars. Okay, so let's start with the first phrase of the A section, which contains 3 chords. And the first of those chords is, we're going to do this in the key of G. So the first chord is G. We're starting on the 1 chord. So what you're going to do is you are going to place you've got finger 1, finger 2, finger 3, finger 4. So you're going to place finger 1 in the 2nd fret, fret 1, fret 2, fret 3, fret 4. So 2nd fret on the 2nd string down. Your finger 2 goes in the 2nd fret on the bottom string. And then your finger 3 is going to go on the 3rd fret in the string in between those 2. So that is your G chord. And you're going to practice tapping your strings, just gently tapping 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and eventually you want to add an extra upstroke. So it'll be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and So after you've done your G chord, you're going to release those 2 fingers. You're going to swing that finger down. So keep pressing on that finger, swing it down, and you are going to press all 3 strings. So the bottom 3 strings you're pressing, this is called barring. So you're barring those 3 strings, then you're going to skip this fret, and in this next fret over on the 4th fret, you are going to play the top string with your 3rd finger. This chord is called B minor. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and okay? From here, you've got your 3rd and final chord of this phrase, which you take your entire hand off, you move your finger 3 down to the 3rd fret on that 1st string, and that's the only note you're pressing. The rest are open. So that's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and So you've got those 3 chords. The last, and that's 3 bars. So the last bar, you're going back to your original starting chord, the G. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and So you've got your 4 chords. Practice that phrase. Try to memorize it before moving on to the next section. So let's just try running through it. We've got G and 2 and 3 and 4 and B minor and 2 and 3 and 4 and C and 2 and 3 and 4, back to G and 2 and 3 and 4 and so what you'll notice is I did not strum on the first B minor there, but I didn't stop the rhythm. And that's really important when you're practicing, as you do not want to stop the rhythm when you make mistakes. You just get back on track as soon as you can and try to keep moving forward. Okay, so let's try same thing, first phrase with a little bit of singing. So, somewhere over the rainbow, way up high. One more time. Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high. Awesome. And so you can speed that up as you go along. The second phrase, there's a land that I've heard of once in a lullaby, starts on the C chord, which you already know, moves to the G chord, so that moves up, and then these two come down. You already know that chord as well. The next chord is new for you. It's a D chord, and it's very similar to when you were barring that one, but instead of barring the bottom 3, you're going to bar the top 3 strings, and you're going to have to get your knuckle out a little bit like that, so that this bottom string rings, and you do not want to be playing it. If you bar the whole thing and you play that string, this note is not in the chord, so we do not want this one to ring. Ideally, it rings open. If you cannot make it ring open, it's okay for it to just not sound. That's called a muted string. That's okay. So this is our D chord. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we have from here what we normally would have in the real version of Over the Rainbow is we'd go back to the G chord, and it would be the end. So it would go, there's a land that I heard of once in a lullaby. lullaby. That's what we're expecting to hear, this G chord. By landing there. But he is giving us this really sweet substitution of, which doesn't sound like the end, which is why it continues on. So, there's a land that I heard of once in a lullaby. They're not going to leave you hanging. You got to resolve that now. Bye. So that's what's happening there, and that's, I think, what is so signature to this song, which is so cool. Okay, so let's go back. The second phrase, C chord, followed by G, followed by D, E minor, and then landing on C again. There's a land that I heard of once in a lullaby. So let's try that one more time. There's a land that I heard of once in a lullaby. All right, so now you know all the chords for the next A section. You already have 3/4 of the song down. So let's move on, and we're going to try the next A section, which is somewhere over the rainbow. Skies are blue, and the dreams that you dare to dream really do come true. All right. Somewhere over the rainbow, skies are blue, and the dreams that you dare to dream really do come true. And the last A section is the same. Melody is different. We're singing up higher, but the chords are the same. So, somewhere over the rainbow, bluebirds fly, birds fly over the rainbow. Why then, oh why can't I? Well I see. And then well I see is actually the first 3 words of the next song, which will be a separate video. What a wonderful world. So you've got 3/4 of the song down. You've got the 3 A sections. That may have moved along a little too quickly for you. So what I'll do at the end of the video is I will repeat through these A sections a little more slowly and count you through them, sort of guide you through. But just to keep the video rolling along here, for those people who are ready to move on, we shall do the B section. As I said, the B section is, you already know the chords, and you have only 4 chords, 4 bars, 4 different chords per bar, and then you repeat it. So it starts with the G, which you know, very familiar with by now, and then we're moving to the D, which is the one, the funny one where you have to keep that open when ringing, and then the E minor, and then the C. So what you'll notice here is the movement from D to E minor to the C happens in the at the end of the A sections, and then again in the B section. This is most of what's happening here. So those three chords, moving back and forth between them, it would be a good thing to practice. All right, so someday I'll wish upon a star, wake up where the clouds are far behind. Be where troubles melt like lemon drops, away above the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me. Oh. Awesome. Okay, so you may have noticed that I totally went to a wrong chord there. That's because my brain suddenly segued to guitar, and I went to try to play a G chord as if I was playing a guitar. All right, so let's repeat that one more time. So starting on the G, so we're going G and, oh, you may also notice that I did not do the upstroke. I was just doing 1 and 2 and. So whichever way you want to practice, just to get the rhythm down, but when you are trying to play it like the recording, he is consistent all the way through the entire recording, just going 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a. All right, so let's do the proper strum. 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a D and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 to E minor and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 to the C and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 back to G and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 to the D and a 2, 3 and a 4, E minor, 2, 3, 4 and C, 2, 3, 4, and then you're back to your last A section. Okay, so let's try now I'll go back to the A section, and we will go a little more slowly through the entire song, the A section and the B section. So starting with your first A, somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, there's a land that I've heard of once in a lullaby. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, and 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 going to B minor and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 to the C and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 back to G and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 to C and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 back to G and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 to the D and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 back to E minor, 2 and a 3 and a 4 to the C and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 back to the next A and a 2, that's G chord, 3 and a 4 to the B minor, 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 to the C and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 back to G and a this is the end of that first phrase of the A section. Back to the C. We're on the second half of the A section. G and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 to the D and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 to E minor and a 2, coming to the end of the A section, and a C and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a, going into the B section, which starts on the G. 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 to the D and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 to E minor and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 to the C and a 2 and a 3, and now we're just going to repeat that again. G, 2, 3, 4, and a D, 2, 3, 4 to E minor, and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 to the C, and a 2 and a 3 and a 4. Last A section. 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 to B minor, and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 to the C, and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 to the G, and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 to the C, and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 to the G, and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 to the D, and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 to E minor, and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and to C, and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and up. Okay, so I highly recommend you try to memorize the chords in the order, in the logical progression. So be looking at the chords as you're playing them, and each time you're looking at them, you'll be noticing the sequence that they go in. And after a while that sinks in and it just starts to become automatic. So, but you need to break it down into small sections, because if you try to do too much at once, then it can become kind of overwhelming for your brain, and then you won't even remember the first 3 chords. So I recommend trying to memorize the chord progression, which means the order with which the chords appear, in phrases. So start with the first half of the A section and just memorize those first 4 bars. And just memorize the chord progression, which is G, D, oh sorry, that's the B section. It's G, B minor, C, G. So just repeat that, question yourself, little times throughout the day, just quiz yourself until you know absolutely that those are the 3 chords, the order of the 3 chords in that 4 bar progression. And then do the same thing with the second half. When your brain knows what chord is coming next, then it does not feel as stressful when you have to change from chord to chord, because your brain already is preparing. So there's like neurons getting your fingers ready, and so it's become smoother and smoother. So, but the key is knowing where you're going. So try to do that homework side of it throughout the day, so that when you come to your practice session, you're going to enjoy it. If you come to your practice session and you don't have a clue what order the chords chords are going in and you're having to look at them every time, you're going to train yourself to be reliant on looking at the sheet. And that's not going to be very freeing for you. So it's a small little detail, but it makes a huge difference. So just make sure in the beginning stages that you are just taking that extra step to try to memorize the chords of the A section. The B section is super simple because you already know the chords, and those 3 chords move in the same direction of the end of the A section. And another thing just to note is that every section starts with the G chord, which is the 1 chord, the home chord. We are singing in the key of G, so G is the home chord. All right, so I think that's plenty of information and hopefully enough to get you started down the path of learning to play and sing this song. And I will create another video with the same kind of breakdown for What a Wonderful World. It's also an AABA format. And then all you will have to do is learn the intro. And the intro and the outro are the same. And the way that he mixes the songs together, it's just once through the Over the Rainbow, right into once through What a Wonderful World, and then right into the B section of Over the Rainbow. And he actually sings it exactly the same. So B section and A section, and then your outro is identical to the intro. So it's a super logical format, and I hope you will have lots of fun with it. It's a beautiful song, so enjoy.